Venga, vamos al lío. Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Sex and Design. Come for the premise of sex and stay for the design. I'm Dr. Sex. Let me take a seat. We continue our journey through the development of Believe in War, an anti-war TTRPG we are developing. Welcome to another of its devblogs. We aren't yet talking about the game itself, but don't worry, the more theoretical, strange part is behind us. Now we only have left the, hopefully for you, cooler theory. I don't know, I enjoy very much every aspect of this. But today I'm going to talk about what tabletop role-playing games are, which may be more your flow. So why are we doing this? Why we need to explain what is a TTRPG? Well, as many of you may know, pen and paper games are a loyal associate of popular culture. Modern versions are maybe a little young in comparison with other recreational activities, but little by little they are breaking through to the mainstream culture. So, on one hand, I want to explain them so the people that are a little more disconnected from this kind of games can have a better understanding of what they are and the possibilities they offer. On the other hand, it is important for me to have a clear theoretical base when working around a certain kind of media. They have their own rules and definitions, as well as advantages and disadvantages, and it is important to know when we may follow them or break them to make our content work. In addition, we have to know our media very well, because maybe we want to deliver a kind of concept that is incompatible and we may end up deforming our media so much that is entirely another thing, or does not work with our content, instead of using another kind that is better prepared for what we want to do. There is no need to reinvent the wheel or rediscover gravity. I see many games, so-called TTRPGs, that are not. They are fun and entertaining games for some, but they are not TTRPGs. They are other types of games that already exist, but because people tend not to research enough, they end up misusing the term and potentially confusing themselves and their audience. Maybe if they had a clear vision of what type of media they want to use in the first place, the content could be improved and not so overblown. RPG or role-playing games are in broad strokes a Ludus-type games, in which the actors must adhere to a regulation and an organized structure to overcome obstacles and achieve the proposed objectives, whether individual or group. Usually, inside the Ludus category, they correspond to collaborative games, when the players compete against the system itself, distributing the rewards according to the performance developed by each actant, and simulation games, those that reproduce in a simplified way a system, model or process, real or feasible, in which the participants have to make a series of decisions in order to provide solutions to certain problems that arise. For a more specific explanation, we can use the definition from Antonio Roda, from Role-Playing Games and Education, towards a general taxonomy. A role-playing game is a recreational activity consisting on playing one or more characters in a story. As a game, it is free in its choice and is subject to rules that will be particular to each specific role-playing game. As an interpretation, it consists of trying not to be yourself, making decisions and trying to act like the character in the game world. As a narrative, it is an interactive story in an imaginary environment where you will meet other characters in various scenarios, moving through the actions you determine and the events that happen to you. There are some main fundamentally different types of role-playing games: tabletop, live, digital, and written. The tabletop is the one we're interested in, but we can go over the rest real quick. Live role-playing games. Defined by the use of the body and expressive resources, as well as the possibility of moving. In this case, the physical aspect of the game can go beyond the game room. The process of character immersion can be superior due to the dramaturgy element, the scenery, the wardrobe, the physical interactions between participants. Apparently, this type of role-playing game tends to separate from the other type of role-playing games, associating it with representational art and not so much with a game. I don't have a lot of experience with this kind of games, but for what I have researched, they can have extensive manuals and rules that refer to numerous situations that can occur in the game, like taking prisoners, sneak attacks, magic, while others like to center a lot in the story and narrative, with complex factions and characters but don't even have basic rules layout. Digital or video game role-playing games. At the beginning, this terminology was for those games that used a role-playing system for the mathematical operations necessary for the adventure's emulation. A virtual environment was generated through text or images in which the action was developed. Later, multiplayer was introduced, creating the or RPG. An important characteristic is that there is not real interaction with other players. Yes, in some cases there is a digital interaction, but still not real. And the different subprograms are the ones that emulate the environment. The role-playing video game is mainly determined by interface and digital limitations. It needs computer support to be played. Also, it's more difficult to control the user generation of content, and in some cases, it needs some basic programming skills. It also doesn't have a director. As I say, the computer program is the one in charge of supervising the players. Brief remark. In an RPG, a game master or game director is a special kind of player that is in charge of applying the rules, narrating, and thinking how the game works in response to the players, and adapts the game to the decisions of the players. This term will come up again. Written role-playing games. This kind of games started as an extension of postal wargames around the 60s, where players would send letters to each other with their actions and decisions, very similar to how mail chess was played. Each of them set up the game board in their place and dictated their decisions through letters. With the rise of the internet, there is a revolution, allowing this practice through email, forum, chat, and other messaging services. They reach a more modern state, similar to what we have today. Written roleplay is mainly conditioned by language. Written language, that is, in comparison with the two previous ones. It is the slowest of all because it's a way of giving feedback between the players, making the players and directors focus on the details of the descriptions when sending messages. It is true that nowadays it is a little faster, but still these kind of games get stuck because of slow replies. Written role-playing games are very similar to co-writing, and a lot of them are a co-writing exercise with a couple of guidelines or rules, usually leaving in the background the mechanical system so the game doesn't get slowed down. And in many aspects, the rules are a matter of faith, because the director is the one who establishes the result. In newer versions, the rules are so light and the story has so much focus that even a director is not needed. We may also mention the VTTRPGs, virtual tabletop role-playing games. I think they can currently be kind of their own category, though it is true that in reality they are tabletop role-playing games with some characteristics shared with role-playing video games, mainly because of the importance of the interface and the relationship with players. It is even difficult to generate user content given the need of programming skill or proficiency with programs to make this possible. They are so a kind of hybrid. I will go even further and include here the Choose Your Own Adventure books, that actually fit quite well in Roda's definition, at least the more complex type of Choose Your Own Adventure books, the ones that have mechanics and some basic rules that enhance the experience. Maybe even some board games can be considered a type of role-playing games according to this definition, and being their own category. But let's get back on track. Tabletop role-playing games are often considered the traditional modality. Usually they are played in reduced groups in controlled spaces. They characterize for using writing materials like paper and pencil. They do not require any additional props or expression elements to be enjoyed, only a simple random system that can be influenced by the game characteristics, like some dice or a deck of cards, to help decide the result of the actions of the characters. The narration is oral, sometimes supported by elements like music, maps, images, or miniatures. In this kind of game, besides the normal players that play the characters, there is also a game director or game master. This is a special type of player that has the responsibilities of a referee and a narrator. Tabletop role-playing games have a number of characteristics that make them a very good media for transmitting a message and reflect on it. They are ludic. Their end goal is fun and entertainment, an excellent way for transmitting a message in an engaging manner. They are creative and imaginative. Imagination is key to form the fiction reality in which the game takes place. They require interpretation. These games place players in the shoes of fictional characters, their own alter egos in this universe imagined by the group. These characters are usually defined by a set of rules that establish their abilities, powers, aspects. They are collaborative. They require the participation of various characters. One of the participants, as we have seen, exercises as a game director or mediator. The rest of the players are the characters, usually the protagonist of the story. They portray a narrative. All players developed the story through their decisions, even the game director. These decisions are the narrative actions done by the characters and their consequence in the game world. They are regulated. The decisions and actions of all the players are subdued to a group of rules accepted by all the participants. These rules determine the result of the players with conditions and limits the narrative, forcing them to generate different strategies. In conclusion, I think TTRPGs have two extremely beneficial inherent properties. They are very accessible games, as we have mentioned, there is no need for materials, special installations, or equipment to enjoy them. Just some rules and people. They also have an innate adaptability thanks to their malleable rule set, not having to follow fixed experiences thanks to the figure of the game director and their habit of using rule systems the game can change in real time. I think this will be all for today. I hope this brief theory of RPGs has been useful to you. In future videos we will come back to some of these characteristics and extend them. In the next Devblog I will talk about the methodology I used, why a TTRPG, what guidelines do I have to follow to design the game, etc. Thanks you all for watching. I will gladly read your feedback, if you want to give it. Just please be constructive. I also apologize for my English, not my first language. Farewell.